Well, it's been quite a long time since I've done one of these, and since then my list of free-to-play games has only gotten bigger. Like, to an absurd degree. It's honestly terrible. I was going to make one of these sooner, but I didn't. I don't really have a reason, I just didn't. But I am now, and here it is. As usual, I'll be covering 6 games, giving short reviews for each of them, highlighting what I liked, what I didn't like, and my overall thoughts on the experience as a whole. I won't be ranking them or comparing them or anything like that. It's just, given the small size of these games, making individual videos for each would be rather pointless. It's easier to bundle them all together. With these videos I try to be as varied as possible with the types of games I play. However, I do use a random generator to pick out the games you see in each episode, so what you see here is all at the behest of RNG. I'd still say there's a decent variety. You've got horror, lots of action, not so much action, cleaning. Yeah, they're varied. All these games are available to download on Steam, and I will leave links to all of them in the description below. I won't drone on any longer though, so let's begin with the first game. Dream Bright is a third-person platformer that sees you playing as Lucy as she travels through dream worlds in search of toys. Accompanied by her imaginary friend, she must jump across challenging, floaty landscapes while also avoiding monsters roaming her home at night. If it isn't clear from the get-go, Dream Bright is a light-hearted game. It has a simple plot with an easy-to-understand set of rules. The structure is pretty straightforward too. You have a dream segment where the parkour takes place in, then you wake up at night and have a stealth section. This then repeats a couple of times before finishing at around 15 to 20 minutes. The gameplay as a whole is fun for the most part. The parkour system is pretty smooth. You can sprint, jump, double jump, and use your imaginary friend companion to propel you forwards. I did overshoot myself every now and then, but overall I didn't have much trouble with it. As for the stealth segments, these are notably harder, both in a good and bad way. There's 3 different types of monsters, and they each operate differently, which was a nice surprise. Unfortunately, the game's camera makes these encounters more frustrating than they should be. You don't have control of the camera, meaning you're entirely at the game's mercy. Navigating the house is a bit annoying at times, but you can see through certain walls when you need to, which is a nice touch. I rarely had problems with it during the parkour sections either. It does become a problem in the stealth areas though. When you're entering a new room, you have no idea where the monster is in that room, so there were plenty of times where I was slowly entering, only to get immediately spotted by the monster. You can run back out and you'll be fine, but you'll never know when it's safe to go back in again. Aside from that though, the game as a whole is pretty enjoyable. It's filled with charm, and if you like playing platformers, then I see no reason why you wouldn't be able to find entertainment with this. Hell of a Racket is a first-person action game where you must fight off swarms of demons in an arena encroached by lava. Using a handy tennis racket, you compete through multiple waves of enemies to defeat... I assume it's Satan. I'm gonna go with that. He's got a tennis racket as well. As you can probably gather, this isn't a game that's meant to be taken seriously. It's a rather unique concept too. I don't think I've ever heard of a game where you fight in hell with a tennis racket, so fair dues to the developers. In terms of what you must face against, there are a small variety of enemies. You have the basic melee combatants, who charge at you once they see you, and you have the ranged ones who fire at you with golf clubs. That's right, only demons play golf. Then you have the heavier grunts, who leap at you from above, and can do a lot of damage. Fighting them is rather straightforward. You have ranged capabilities, but you can also run up to them and whack them across the face, which does the trick just as well. Typically you'll want to mix the 2 approaches together, whilst constantly moving around the map, avoiding enemy attacks. In all intents and purposes, this is a very fast-paced game. Maybe too fast-paced for its own good. There's a fair amount of jank in both the movement and the combat, which interferes with the flow of the gameplay. For starters, the controls feel very slippery, and I fell off the map plenty of times, which makes the game harder than it should be. As for combat, hit registry was a major issue, as I felt that a good portion of my attacks didn't really do anything. Then you have the boss fight, which I gave up on because of these issues. What I will say is that on a visual front, this game more than exceeds. The level is highly detailed and fun to traverse through thanks to the many jump pads you can find. My favourite aspect of the game was how the level transforms after each round. Seeing the environment change around you was a really cool touch. Overall, the concept of Hell of a Racket is both intriguing and highly amusing, and for the most part it is fun to play. It just needed a bit more time to cook. Orb Flight is a first-person floating game? You fly around a tranquil island searching for white orbs of light that are dotted around the area. Your only objective, if you can really call it that, is to find as many as you can, and there are a lot to find. The game's main emphasis is in generating a relaxing atmosphere. There's nothing here to trip you up or overly challenge you, and it stays the same from start to finish. Essentially, what you see is what you get. Needless to say, it certainly succeeds on the relaxing atmosphere part. A lot of this is thanks to both the visual aesthetic and the sound design. As you can see from the footage, Orb Flight has adopted a low poly approach to its level design, but the utilization of vibrant colours and bright lighting is what really enhances the calming elements this game has. The music plays a major part in this too. It's soft and it's beautiful to listen to. The island is surprisingly complex as well. You don't just have hills and small forests, you have coastlines, intricate cave systems, and numerous small valleys that stretch into the centre of the level. Of course, the light orbs are scattered throughout these areas too, so it's easy to miss some of them. Every time you think you've found them all, you'll usually find another one that eluded you. As I said before, there isn't much else to the gameplay aside from collecting these orbs, so there really isn't much more that I can talk about. I will give praise to how smooth the game feels to play though, again, contributing to the relaxing atmosphere. There was nothing that interfered with it at all. If you're looking for a calming experience, then Orb Flight does the trick. It may be incredibly basic, but that isn't really a bad thing in this case. Obviously, if you want something more, then this might not satisfy you, but if you're looking for something simple, consider checking this one out. The Suits Have Gone Mad is a first-person horror game taking place in a shady corporation with dystopian work ethics. You play as Theo Blue, an employee at this company who made the mistake of being late for work, and then later on, getting involved in something that he shouldn't have. At the beginning of the game, you are presented with a company slideshow meant for employees to get them accustomed to how things work there. To call it strict would be an understatement. Everything is specific, down to the way you dress, to the way you act and perform. Any changes to the status quo can result in dire consequences. Needless to say, the game sets the tone immediately. I just realised that was a bad pun. The company you work for produces tones. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but they make tones. Anyway, speaking of which, part of your job on that particular day was to present a brand new tone to the company executives that'll make them even more money. This is where things get really creepy. Well, I mean, you've already been exposed to some disturbing stuff, but after presenting this tone, you are now in danger. I won't go further on that since the game is rather short. What I will say though is that there is more to come, with a second part set to be released at some point soon. From what I've seen so far, the world building is quite interesting, and the game doesn't shy away from talking about it, with plenty of murals and displays detailing information about the company's history. It definitely promotes intrigue. As for the gameplay, it takes a rather simple approach. You have a list of tasks you need to complete, which takes you across various parts of the floor you work on, and there are moments that pick up the intensity quite a bit, but nothing major so far. As for how scary it is, I'd say it's more creepy than anything else. Like I said before, there are disturbing moments, but nothing that puts you on the edge of your seat. That could very well change later on though. I'm looking forward to the next part of this story, and once it releases, I'll be sure to review it in one of these episodes. Regardless, I recommend putting this one on your radar. Pogglewash is a third-person platformer that sees you playing as a robotic cleaner tasked with clearing the land of a foreign infection that's tainting the environment. Whilst doing this, you must also ensure the safety of the local wildlife inhabiting the area. The world is split into 3 zones, which are cleaned through in a set order. Once one has been fully removed of infection, you are given the means to traverse to the next one. Each area is distinct enough, both from a visual and gameplay standpoint, and the difficulty increases the further you go. In order to clear out these places, you have two tools at your disposal: a scanner, which scans the area for signs of infection, and a water gun, which is what you use to clean. The water gun has unlimited ammo, but its range is relatively small, so you'll need to traverse difficult to access areas in order to make the place completely clean. This is where the game's platforming elements come into play. These are pretty typical from what you'd see in the average platformer. You have jump pads and moving platforms, and you can also use the local wildlife to continue progressing, after you've helped them in some way or other. I would say the platforming is ever so slightly clunky. It's mainly noticeable when using jump pads. It's quite easy to overshoot your jump to the point where you have to approach these at awkward angles at times. I wouldn't say it's a major complaint though, most of the time I had no issues. There's also an optional collectible system in the form of stars. I'm not sure these actually do anything, but they're scattered around and they give you an extra activity to do. As for the world itself, it's pretty charming. The visuals definitely have a retro feel to them, though I'm not sure if that was the intended effect or not. Nevertheless, it's nice to look at, and the Pogglewash, yes, those things are called Pogglewash, give the game a cutesy feel. All in all, it's straightforward but also an appealing experience with a satisfying gameplay loop. I didn't have many issues with it, so I don't have any problem recommending it. Bloody Hell is a top-down 2D shoot-'em-up game that has you playing as an angel with one simple mission: travel to Hell and kill Satan. Okay, maybe the reality of it isn't so simple, but at least you know what you're getting into from the word go. As a side note, I love the name of this game. Naturally, Hell is a pretty violent place. There's lots of fire, lava, and death, with not much in between. It's also filled with demons that want to kill you, and there are a lot of them. They're not your run-of-the-mill, scary-looking creatures that run up to you and hack you to pieces either. There's a wide variety of them, and they're all challenging in their own ways. What I really liked is how the more you progress through the game, the more the enemies would begin to change. As well as introducing new ones like this damned frog, I hate you, enemies you've fought against a lot already will also begin to upgrade themselves, becoming even more deadly. The game is constantly testing you, not only in how you fight, but how you survive. It's not so big a deal near the beginning, since all you have to do is just shoot at the enemies and occasionally dodge their attacks when needed. But what do you do when there's a massive group of them all engaging you at once? Luckily, over time you will acquire upgrades and learn new abilities to help keep you sustained. Even these have their limits though. You only have so much room for weapon upgrades, so you have to be careful which ones you choose moving forward. Save points are limited, and they're not always easy to find. That's another thing worth mentioning: the level design is incredible. Aside from it looking fantastic, it's surprisingly complex. There are only so many ways you can ultimately go towards, but there are dozens of pathways and secret rooms that you can easily get yourself lost in, even with a map. All it takes is an enemy ambush to trip you off your feet. If I was to try and summarize what this game was by using comparisons to other games, I would say that it's a mix of Doom and Hades. That being said, I would also say that it's strong enough to stand on its own, and the fact that it's free to play almost baffles me. This was easily the strongest game of the bunch I've played, and even though I didn't finish it, I can see myself coming back to this one. And there you have it. I hope there was at least one game here that caught your eye. I've got plenty more to go through, so I might start working on the next episode very soon. I've also got some demos on that list too that I need to try out, so expect some videos on those as well. It's very likely that these games wouldn't have been on the majority of your radars, as is the case with a lot of free-to-play indie games. It's a shame that these games don't get promoted more. The only reason I find them is thanks to Steam's Discovery Queue feature, and even then, it only appeared there because I've played a lot of free-to-play games. There should really be a section on Steam that highlights these games more. I hope you'll try some of these because they're definitely worth looking into. Whether it's a passion project, a school assignment, or a game developed by a team of people, they've all had a lot of work put into them, and they deserve praise. Fingers crossed it won't be long until I get the next episode out. Until then, feel free to check out previous episodes in this series, or take a look at some of the reviews I've made for other indie games. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Until the next one, I'll see you soon. Bye.